Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker is now just 10 days away from its official release by writer and director J.J. Abrams and Chris Terrio, as well as creator George Lucas. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel for future content. Now, one thing about Episode 9 is that a lot of fans are very curious about the various twists and turns and the revelations in this movie that's going to change how we view the past 8 Star Wars films, including The Last Jedi and The Force Awakens. Within all of that in the sequel trilogy is that J.J. Abrams is using Episode 9 as a foundation, if you will, to create something new in order to really deliver a unique experience for fans. Now, I've gone over my criticisms about The Rise of Skywalker based on what we have been hearing and based on what we have seen in the actual TV spots, etc., and how they match up with the leaks that we've been talking about. But beyond that, what's really interesting about all of this that I think a lot of fans out there will have mixed reactions on has to do with one of the major twists at the very ending of Episode 9 that all has to do with a core character in the Star Wars sequel trilogy. So let's get right to it. Now, the thing about all of this is that shot descriptions consisting of a sequence where it's explained that one of the segments based in the third act of the film includes both Rey, Kylo Ren, and Palpatine inside of Palpatine's throne room on the world of Exegol. Now, it's explained that at this point in time, both Rey and Kylo Ren defend themselves against Palpatine, where it eventually leads to Ben Solo's death, where he falls into a bottomless pit, where Rey is left to face Sidious alone with the help of the Force ghosts of the past. Now, this is where Rey is said to eventually destroy Palpatine once and for all by deflecting the lightning back at him, causing Sidious to disintegrate into thin air. This is said to lead to a sequence in which Palpatine's throne room begins to crumble and fall apart as Rey runs out of there and escapes. However, it's said that in the upcoming novelization due for release in March of 2020, it's said that one of the major twists at the end of the film that will be explained in the book is that Snoke clones that Palpatine created that are based within the base of Exegol are said to survive and live on and are not destroyed in the process, and that the novelization unveils that the Snoke clones will eventually awaken in the years to come, if not destroyed by anyone else. This is described to be one of the big twists at the end of the film that will be established in the official novelization. Since the beginning of the film makes it clear that Snoke was a clone in the movies, the end of the film will unveil that the Snoke clones live on after Rey's escape, and that most likely is what sets something up for Disney's new expanded universe that will begin in 2020 in the forms of books, novels, and comics. Now, the decision was to create a good climax in the film to get the fans ready for the new expanded universe, and that the novelization sets everything up. So let's go over a couple of parts about this. Now, everything related to the Snoke clones. In case you guys are not filled in on this, we actually went over this a couple of days ago, is at the very beginning of this movie will indeed feature the world of Exegol. And the thing about the world of Exegol is that it's a dead planet just near the Beyond, which, by the way, is the most powerful force nexus there is out of the entire galaxy, so keep that in mind. Now, the thing about Episode 9 here is that J.J. Abrams wants to answer a lot of questions. He also wants to change how we view some of the major characters in the Star Wars sequel trilogy, that of course being Supreme Leader Snoke being one of them. So at the very end of this film, we have the major battle between Palpatine, Rey, and Kylo Ren. After Rey and Kylo Ren are drained of their energy from Palpatine and he rejuvenates himself, there is going to be a segment in this movie in which we have Rey defeating Sidious by deflecting his own power back at him, where he disintegrates into thin air. Now, this causes the actual base of Exegol to crumble, to fall apart, and almost reminds me of what happened at the very end of The Force Awakens, where you have Hux inside of the room where Snoke's hologram is being displayed, and you see everything beginning to crumble. It's kind of like that, except the planet is not being destroyed, apparently. So Rey makes her way out, she escapes, but in the official novelization, and yes, we're back to the novelization again, is that the novelization will be a form of canon material that will explain a major twist at the very end of The Rise of Skywalker, is that the Snoke clones were actually not destroyed in the process, and that they do in fact live on, and are said to awaken in the years to come if nobody destroys them. So this is obviously a way for Disney and Lucasfilm to create a new expanded universe. It really does remind me of what they did with Return of the Jedi with Palpatine's death, and then they had Palpatine clones later on. This almost reminds me of that, where, yes, you have Snoke clones in this movie, and yes, it is inspired by the Palpatine clones in the expanded universe. But it's not just that, it's also the fact that they live on, which is going to set up a new story for either a future book, comic, or, heck, maybe even a future film, if you will, if they really want to go that far. But the Snoke clones are said to be a very big plot twist in the very beginning of the movie, and now at the very end of Episode 9, so keep your eyes open for that. Now, the other piece that I do want to go over, alright, I actually want to dive into this a little bit here, is the world of Exegol. I don't know if you guys know about the history of the world of Exegol, but this planet is actually said to be a dead planet, and is said to be the location of a dark temple that once belonged to Nile Ren. Now, Nile Ren was a character that was once Snoke's master. In case you guys did not know, Snoke did in fact have a master called Nile Ren, and there was an original version of Snoke that lived on the world of Exegol long after the death of Nile Ren, since he actually traveled over to the Beyond and never returned. So, the thing about Snoke is that on the world of Exegol, it will be explained in the novelization that it was Palpatine who killed the original version of Snoke, who was hundreds and hundreds of years old, and began to clone Snoke multiple different times. And that's exactly why when Kylo Ren arrives on the world of Exegol, there are countless tanks, or barrels if you will, containing the Snoke clones. Moving in different directions, where you have all these little things called the relics. They're like little creatures attending the Snoke clones. So I think that, honestly, that's going to probably be the more strong twist in The Rise of Skywalker that will honestly resonate or not resonate with some fans. Some people may view it as poor writing, which I honestly believe it may be poor writing on some levels here, because it almost sounds like patchwork to me. It almost sounds like that this is JJ's way of saying, well, this is why Rian Johnson killed Snoke so very fast in The Last Jedi, and why he was split into two pieces without question of his backstory, and here you go, here's his backstory, he's a clone. So it seems like that this is JJ's quick way of delivering Snoke's backstory and just saying, nothing much to Snoke, he's just a clone, but the original version of Snoke, there's still a lot more to tell. And that's the biggest thing of all. So, with The Rise of Skywalker, like I say, now 10 days away. Today is December 10th. This is actually the day in which we will, in fact, have the official Japan premiere of The Rise of Skywalker. So, essentially, today is going to be the day when Japan, is able to talk about and pretty much deliver their own reactions about what they thought about The Rise of Skywalker, which should be interesting. I think the fact that they're really aiming toward that is going to be a very interesting thing. The fact they have a premiere in Japan, and then they have a premiere over in Los Angeles on the 16th. So that's one thing about this, is that we will be hearing more reactions surface on the internet in about a day or two, maybe even less than that, where we're going to learn a little bit more about the movie and how fans actually feel about The Rise of Skywalker. Just keep in mind that some of those reactions may be honest, and some of which may not be honest. It's going to be mixed, that's regardless, without question. But when we look at The Rise of Skywalker specifically here, this movie does have a lot going for itself. A lot of fans are still hopeful about this film, about it being maybe even a decent movie, or better than that of The Last Jedi. But based on all the decisions that Disney and Lucasfilm have been making, it really seems like that things aren't looking too bright based on, what could have been. The original sequences that they had for this movie that were ultimately deleted is something that I personally have a big problem with. And the last thing I just gotta say is that, since the movie's 10 days away, I will be giving my honest review the minute I walk out of that theater on the 19th at 6 o'clock. I will be giving my honest review on that, so there's going to be no holding back. I'll give you exactly what I believe and what I think about the movie, and you guys can determine it for yourselves once you go ahead and see the movie and compare it to my visual. So anyways, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know what you think about all of this in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.
night.